When I got into glass and ice, like I myself would do it. I would sometimes even do it with other people. And when I would do it with other people, there was a few of the people I was doing it with that had a different type of reaction. And some of those people, the reaction that they would have would turn them into full-blown paranoid, schizophrenic type of people. I'm talking like they would be so freaked out at the way of the world. They would say things that were just outrageous, like things that just did not make sense, talking about cameras in the walls, cameras in the ceilings, cameras that you can't see but I know are there. Hi everybody, this is Tej with Tej Interventions. I'm here with Lauren.
Hi.
With True Metamorphosis. This is the part 2. We're going to be talking about psychosis, and Lauren will be asking the questions today from me.
All right, so I guess I was just wanting to know, have you ever experienced meth-induced psychosis?
So, okay, I'm a former meth user. Out of all the 18 years that I used substances, meth had its place in my using career at 2 different periods. Once was early on when I was in my teens and in my early young adulthood, which would be in my early 20s. I stopped for a while, and then I started back up again in my mid-20s. So I never really got recovery because I didn't have any recovery. I did other substances. I had a love-hate relationship with meth. But me personally, there were brief little periods of paranoia, but not to the point where I heard voices. It could be subtly seen as maybe the onset of some psychosis, but I myself wasn't like seeing some people in active addiction that I was with, that we were all using meth together, see them in full-blown psychosis. Now, I did feel a little bit of psychosis from doing LSD, so I do know what it's like when you become imaginative and you think like there's certain things that you almost are convinced are happening. That happened with that, but when it came to meth, there was certain people that I experienced that were in full-blown psychosis.
Yeah, I've had the same experience.
Do you want to hear about that?
Yeah, I would love to hear about that.
So, when I first started doing meth, it was crank, and that was like pretty much the biker dope. It was like the jet fuel, right? The stuff that you could do a little line of it, and it would totally burn your nose, and it just make you go into the middle of next week, right?
Yeah.
Like it was very, very powerful. I was sleep deprived a lot. I wasn't eating. I weighed about $105. You know,
Yeah.
I was very, very skinny. I look at pictures of myself. I'm like, who's that skeleton, right? When I did that, for some reason, like as much as I was in autopilot, I wasn't thinking that I did see some shadow people and things like that, but I wasn't in full-blown paranoia. I didn't hear voices and things like that. Later on, when I got into glass and ice, like I myself would do it. I would sometimes even do it with other people. And when I would do it with other people, there was a few of the people I was doing it with that had a different type of reaction. And some of those people, the reaction that they would have would turn them into full-blown paranoid, schizophrenic type of people. I'm talking like they would be so freaked out at the way of the world. They would say things that were just outrageous, like things that just did not make sense, talking about cameras in the walls, cameras in the ceilings, cameras that you can't see but I know are there, cameras in the car, microphones everywhere, everything's amplified, everybody is talking about us. What are they talking about? They're talking about me, they're talking about you, what are they saying? It's all negative talk, they're making fun of us, they're laughing at us. And so I remember like when I had one particular using buddy talking like that, I would tell him, you know, what are we listening to? Like I was afraid to not agree with him.
Right.
Because I thought that he's gonna get mad at me if I don't.
Oh my gosh.
And he sounded so convinced that like all this was happening. But I remember like even in as high as I was thinking, he's lost it.
Yeah.
Like he's gone over the edge, right? Like this is nonsensical.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that he's making up in his head, like how on earth is 2 guys that are using drugs in some house suddenly under investigation by the Federal Bureau of Investigators?
Right.
Like, are we breaking federal laws for the FBI or the CIA to be zeroing in on us?
Right.
So like I remember thinking at those times he's very much lost it. And on top of that, it was so bad that he actually had a person come from a spy shop.
Oh my God.
There was a spy shop in Huntington Beach where they sold equipment, and they would even like come out and do presentations and things. He had a guy come to the house, this old man that came with like one of them detector things.
Yeah,
to go around the walls and like I remember coming to his house one day and the guy's like up against the wall with these headphones like beep beep beep, and I remember the dude looked like he was doing it because he was hired to do it.
Yeah,
but also like then he sat us down and told me and my friend, hey guys, just want you to know, like, he like looked at me like, your buddy.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing in your walls. You guys are probably gonna need to seek some help. I don't think he wanted to be rude.
Yeah.
But I've inspected everything and there's nothing here. And then, like, you know, when he left, what do you think the first thing my friend said was?
Oh, he doesn't know. He's hired by them or something.
He's in on it with them, right? He's in on it with them, right?
Yeah, totally.
So, and it got to the point where I even had to tell him, like, enough is enough. Like, what you're doing is it's not healthy for you. You're going to lose your mind, and which later on he did go on to lose his mind.
Right.
There was definitely paramedics called, but which one time he actually like lost power in his upper body.
Oh my goodness.
Fell to the ground, called 911. But then there was other times where he went to the neighbor's house and was convinced that they were posted up in the neighbor's house and had cameras over here and everything was like running as a, that's how far his brain had gone. Even in his car, we drive in his car and be like, oh, this whole car is microphone. Just so you know, like we are totally being listened to the whole time. So I got to the point where even I had to say something to him and then he got mad at me and said I was in on it.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of, like, now that I'm sober and I'm a professional that works in the field, I know that psychologically quite often, I believe, that a lot of people that are in a paranoid state or in full-blown psychosis, meth-induced psychosis, or even psychosis from other substances, when they talk about being gang-stalked, hacked, being watched by the FBI or the CIA, or even when they start talking even more in a more superior fashion, or where they might think like they are the Antichrist, or that they are Jesus Christ, or that they're God, or that, you know, that they're Hitler, right? Like power, power, power. A lot of it psychologically would mean that they've probably watched a lot of movies, read a lot of books, where people are under investigation. There's surveillance. There's intel. There's people being watched. Spy movies will make people that live a secretive life start to think that they're being spied on. They may have done some stalking and spying themselves, right?
Oh, yeah.
Depending. So when they do things like that, it's just how they're functioning. And so I believe, and I've seen it time and time again, I've even worked in a rehab where there was 3 different people within 1 week. 2 said that they were the Antichrist. 1 said that he was Christ. I asked them, where are you guys from? All of them were from the Bible Belt, Middle America, grew up in the church, had God shoved down their throat, and started talking about, you know, I'm a sinner, or perhaps they were afraid of being a sinner, to where now once they start using a drug that they know is sinning, at least in their religious upbringing, that now instead of just thinking, well, you know, I'm damned to go to hell now, instead they're like, no, I am Christ, or I am the Antichrist. Like there's a lot of, it's very psychological. There's a lot that goes into it, but I realize, like, if you have conversations with those types, like people that are you know, going through full-blown psychosis, there's a lot of outrageous, outlandish things that they will say that just is nonsensical, or even is layered with a lot of different unbalanced thought processes, right? Or processes. Yeah.
I think I have a question. So do you think that the triggering, like that maybe mental health gets triggered by the substance use, and then therefore it brings up some type of like mental health issue, or like characteristics that were like laying dormant within a person? Sure.
I mean, I think it's different with everybody, but sometimes when someone has a predisposition, when somebody has mental health that runs in their family, when there's schizophrenia that is hereditary within a family system. I mean, you know, a lot of times people don't really get diagnosed with, let's say, bipolar or schizophrenia until they're a little bit older. Right? So often, you know, their imaginations are going to be much different than somebody else that doesn't experience any type of affective schizophrenic type of thoughts or feelings, or like, and then on top of that, unfortunately, there are people that can cause permanent damage to themselves. I got a phone call the other day from a friend that I saw try to get sober many times years ago, who finally, she said, I've been 3.5 years sober, but I know I'm in psychosis sometimes. I'm at my family's house right now and I have these thoughts in my head where I'm just like, I can't even sit still with myself. Do you think this will ever go away? And I felt my heart hurt for her. So I called her the next day and we actually talked, and I said I would go get stabilized, with your doctor, but I would also start doing some meditative practices, probably some breath work, some breathing techniques, things like that, and really trying to break out of it, because she talked about the voices that she hears. So this could be a predisposition. It could be people that have caused this for themselves. A lot of times there's certain types of chemicals that I've learned go into making meth. I've heard of P2P and things like that, where people are using stuff and getting automatic psychosis within the usage, not after being dehydrated, not after being deprived of sleep, not after being malnourished, but actually like within the first use. And then it also can happen where somebody's up for a few days and they'll start going to psychosis shortly after, or a few days after, or it'll linger and go for a few weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years. So, yeah.
Wow, well, that is a lot to take in. Thank you so much for your time and answering that question.
You're welcome. Please subscribe to our channel, to Tej Intervention. You can subscribe, you can hit the like button, and we would love to hear from you in the comments section, and share this everywhere. We'd love to be able to help people that are struggling and suffering. I'm always going to make myself available to you. You can find my phone number here, or even on my website at tejinterventions.com.